SLT Mobitel, the connection. SLT Mobitel, the connection.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, better late than never. Over 600,000 candidates on the verge of sitting for the delayed GCE ordinary level examination. Gradual easing. A fifth consecutive day of daily COVID caseload under 500. More digging. China's MCC vies to launch mineral sand operation in Sri Lanka.
An expression of interest by the MCC of China to exploit mineral sand and also to refine it in Sri Lanka so that we will get a much higher income from our mineral sand deposits in the future.
Positive step. Former Sri Lanka cricket coach Tom Moody appointed as the new director of cricket. All that and much more coming up on First at 9. This Sunday, the 28th of February 2021.
ඇල්කොහොල් අඩංගු hand sanitizer භාවිත කරන්න. ලෙඩ රෝග ඇති කරන විෂ බීජවලට එරෙහිව සටන් කරන්න. හඳුන්වා දීමේ මිල රුපියල් 350යි.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammik Eknaik. Let's start with your local stories. Now then, the government says that all is set for the start of the GCE ordinary level examinations tomorrow. The Ministry of Education, the Department of Examinations and the health authorities are sure that there is nothing to prevent any candidate from sitting for the examination, even those infected with COVID-19. While expressing hope of releasing the ordinary level examination results by June, Minister of Education Professor G.L. Piris was also optimistic about releasing the advanced level results in April.
The GCE ordinary level examinations for the year 2020, which were initially planned to be held in December, were postponed to March this year following the second wave of COVID-19 within the country. Accordingly, the examination will commence tomorrow with adherence to strict health and safety protocols to avoid any spread of COVID-19 and will conclude on the 10th of March. Further, 622,000 candidates are eligible to sit for the examination across 4,513 examination centres island-wide. As the examinations are being held under the cloud of COVID-19, the Department of Examinations has taken measures to ensure that even those who contract the virus will be facilitated to sit for the exam. As such, 40 dedicated examination centres are set up in the island to address that eventuality. It is just as well since Commissioner General of Examinations Sanat Pujitha himself said that 26 candidates are infected with COVID-19. In anticipation for tomorrow's start, examination centres across the country were disinfected today. Meanwhile, Minister of Education Professor G.L. Piris looked into the preparedness of the examination centres as he called at the examination centre set up at the Malayadeva Model College in Kurunagala.
දරුවකෝ ආසාදිතයෙක් වුණොත් ඒ පිළිබඳ ගත යුතු ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගැන කල්ලිඳම්ම හිතා බලලා සකස් කරලා තිබෙනවා. අපි උපරිම උත්සාහය දරනවා මේ විභාගයේ ප්‍රතිඵල ජූනි මාසයේ වෙනකොට නිකුත් කිරීමට. ඉන්පසු ජූලි මාසයේ උසස් පෙළ පන්ති ආරම්භ කිරීමට. මීට වඩා අමාරු වුණා එක අතකින් උසස් පෙළ විභාගයකට දවස් 22ක් ගියා. මේකට දවස් 9යි. හැබැයි ඒ විභාගයේ ප්‍රතිඵල අපි උපරිම උත්සාහය දරනවා අප්‍රේල් මාසයේ නිකුත් කිරීමට. අප්‍රේල් මාසයේ ප්‍රතිඵල නිකුත් කිරීමට පුළුවන් වුණොත් ඒ දරුවන්ට පුළුවන් වෙනවා මේ අවුරුද්දේ සෙප්තැම්බර් මාසයේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාල වලට යන්න. ඒ නිසා මම දෙමාපියන්ට නැවත වතාවක් කියනවා හිතේ බයක් නැතුව දරුවා ආයවන්න විභාගයට සෞඛ්‍ය පැත්තෙන් කෙරෙන්න ඕනේ සියලුම දේවල් අපි උපරිම මට්ටමින් ඉෂ්ට කරලා තියෙනවා.
In the meantime, Directress of Maternal and Child Health at the Family Health Bureau, Dr. Chitramali De Silva, also commented on the arrangements made by authorities for the examination tomorrow.
අපිට කියන්න බෑ රෝග ලක්ෂණ තියෙනවා නම් රෝගේ තියෙනවා නම් සිසුවා විභාගයට එවන්න එපා කියලා සියලුම සිසුන්ට විභාගයට මුහුණ දීමට හැකි වෙන අයුරින් තමයි සකස් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ආසාදිත බවට පත් වෙච්ච සිසුනුත් කීප දෙනෙක් අපිට දැන් වාර්තා වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා සියලුම දිස්ත්‍රික්කවල මෙම සිසුන් ප්‍රතිකාර ලබන රෝහල්වලම විශේෂ අධීක්ෂණ කටයුතු යටතේ භාග කටයුතු කෙරෙන තමයි සැලසුම් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. නිරෝධායනය වෙමින් පවතින දරුවෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් ඒ දරුවට තමන් යන පාසලේම විභාගයට මුහුණ දීමට හැකි විදිහට කටයුතු කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒතකොට මේ හැම පාසලකම සකස් කරලා තියෙන වෙනම පන්ති කාමරයක්.
Meanwhile, the Ceylon Teachers Union alleged that steps have not been taken to ensure the health and safety of the examination supervisors. They say that face masks are not provided and the examination centres are also not given face shields.
Sri Lanka's best health insurance with the fastest claim settlement. Soft Logic Life.
Pay just 500,000 rupees to reserve your unit today. Mulberry Residence.
It was not that long ago that Sri Lanka kept recording daily COVID-19 caseloads in the region of 800 to 900. That 2 weeks later, the number is down to 400s and have been for 5 consecutive days. Meanwhile, none of the districts reported virus cases in triple digits yesterday, with long perceived virus hotspot Colombo only confirming 40 cases. However, there were 7 COVID-related fatalities confirmed today, taking the country's tally to 471. Let's take a look at the latest pandemic situation in the country now.
Sri Lanka's daily COVID-19 cases has seen a gradual reduction in the past weeks, with the numbers currently in the 400s. It is a considerable difference from the figures in the excess of 900 confirmed only 2 weeks ago. Yesterday, there were 460 new COVID-19 infections in the island, marking the 5th consecutive day of the daily COVID-19 caseload, falling below 500. What's more, for the first time in a long while, none of the districts recorded cases in triple digits. The Colombo district, which had long been considered a hotspot for the virus, only confirmed 40 cases. But topping the list yesterday was the Ratnapura district with 62 infections, while 59 cases were confirmed from Jaffna. Gampaha meanwhile confirmed 51 cases and 50 cases were recorded from Kandy. The districts of Matara accounted for just 35 cases and 21 infections were confirmed from Gaul. From the remainder, 107 infections were recorded from 15 other districts, while 35 infections involved Sri Lankan expatriates. In the meantime, 204 new coronavirus cases have been reported so far today. In another development, the Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka donated a batch of personal protective equipment to support the airport and aviation services in Sri Lanka recently. Political counsellor of the Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka, Hu Wei, made the donation to the chairman of the AASL, Major General G.A. Chandrasiri, to support the AASL's efforts to combat and control COVID-19. The donation included 270 protective clothing and shoe covers, 24,000 disposable face masks, 4,800 KN95 face masks, 120 goggles, and 500 pairs of disposable gloves for the use of the airport staff. In other developments, according to the epidemiology unit, the overall number of vaccinations conducted so far is 441,976, with 35,343 jabs administered yesterday alone. In the meantime, head of the National Operations Centre for the Prevention of COVID-19 Outbreak, Army Commander General Shavindra Silva announced that 4 areas falling under the MOH area in Kathankudi in Batiklo will be brought out of isolation at 5 am tomorrow. Accordingly, Gafur Road, Mohinar Lane, Sinnathona Road and the First Cross Street on the Telecom Road will be relieved from isolation. Meanwhile, the overall number of persons who have recovered since the COVID-19 pandemic hit Sri Lanka rose to 78,373 after 574 persons recovered today. As such, Sri Lanka's active number of novel coronavirus cases currently stand at 3,683. The island's overall coronavirus death toll in the meantime is at 464, as no COVID-19 related deaths were reported yesterday.
In line with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's program to engage with the rural community, measures were taken to construct a sports ground for the Madavachi Vidyalaya by the Sri Lanka Army based on a request made by a student at the school. The request was made yesterday and the construction work commenced hours later and continued today as well.
The 13th phase of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's initiative to engage in interactive dialogue with members of the public in rural areas, titled Gama Samaga Pilisandarak, was worked off in Trincomalee yesterday in the area of Kibulekada. During his visit, a student from the Madavachi Vidyalaya requested a sports ground for her school.
අපේ ඉස්කෝලේට ක්‍රීඩා පිට්ටනිය යන ජනාධිපතිතුමා අපේ ඉස්කෝලේ ඉන්නවා ගොඩක් ක්‍රීඩා දක්ෂතා තියෙන පළාත් මට්ටමින් ජයග්‍රහණය කරපු සහෝදරියෝ.
හරියක ලබා දෙන්නම්.
Accordingly, the Engineers Corps of the Sri Lanka Army started the construction work of the ground yesterday. The construction work also carried on today as well.
මගේ දරුවගේ ගැටලුව පිළිබඳ සාවධානව අහුම්කන් දුන්නා ගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමා. ඒ අවස්ථාවේ පැය භාගයක්වත් යනට කලින් මගේ පිට්ටනියට යන්ත්‍රෝපකරණ ගෙනල්ලා වැඩ කටයුතු ආරම්භ කරන්න සූදානම් කරා. මම මේ පිළිබඳව බෙහෙවින්ම ගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමාට ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා.
2018 අවුරුද්දේ නැගෙනහිර පළාත් මට්ටමින් මීටර් 800 ධාවන තරගින් ප්‍රථම ස්ථානය දිනාගත්තා. ඒ වගේම සමස්ත ලංකා මට්ටම දක්වා ගියා. ඒ යනකොට අපේ ග්‍රවුන්ඩ් එකවත් අපිට තිබ්බේ නැහැ. ඉතින් මට හරි සතුටුයි. ඊයේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා අපේ ක්‍රීඩා පිට්ටනියක් ලබා දෙනවා කිව්වා.
The Vehicle Importers Association of Sri Lanka is seeking an audience with government hierarchy to present their proposal, which it says restricts foreign currency outflow while ensuring that the motor trade survives. This was revealed during a media briefing worked off by the association recently in Colombo, during which it also issued a plea to the government seeking permission to honour the letters of credit opened prior to the pandemic-related restrictions coming into effect.
We are fully aware that the government, our country as well as the entire world is facing a massive crisis. So what we actually want from the government at this moment in time is a survival plan for us, a survival plan for all our employees and all our dependents. Because if you look at the motor trade, it's interlinked with so many other industries and trade. So there's a lot of individuals and dependents of those individuals depending on us literally. We have actually written to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, President Secretary Dr. P.V. Jayasundara as well as Basil Rajapaksa requesting a meeting because we have actually prepared a proposal ensuring the currency outflow is restricted while we can save the industry. And also another important fact is that the ban was imposed on the 19th of March 2020 and we have, and not just us, there are government concession permit holders who have letters of credit open prior to that. And also there are certain vehicles that have reached the port after the ban and people are actually struggling to clear those units. So we would like to make another kind request from the government to make necessary arrangements in order to uphold the letters of credit, the legal agreement that we have with the supplier. These letters of credit have been opened as per the rules and regulations prevailing at the time before COVID. Even when the vehicles are being shipped from another country, that is up to the supplier to do it and we have no say in that matter. So I hope the government listens to this plea.
Moving on with other stories, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party believes that its leader, former President Maithripala Sirisena, has been targeted via the Presidential Commission report on the Easter Sunday terror attacks. Addressing a media briefing today, the SLFP's Senior Deputy Chairman, Professor Rohana Lakshman Piyadasa, cast aspersions on the PCOI report, saying that it could be part of an attempt to debilitate the party.
The Presidential Commission of Inquiry, which probed the Easter Sunday terror attacks of 2019, recommended in its final report that criminal charges be brought against then President Maithripala Sirisena. The recommendations were made by the very commission he appointed to investigate the spate of terror in the September of 2019. Following the release of the report last week, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, headed by Sirisena, rejected the report. Today, the party's Senior Deputy Chairman Professor Rohana Lakshman Piyadasa held a media briefing on the contents of the Presidential Commission report.
මේ කොමිසමට නිශ්චිත වූ ඉලක්ක අරමුණු තිබුණා. පාස්කු ඉරිදා ප්‍රහාරය පිටුපස තිබුණු බලවේග මොනවද? ඒ කෙරෙහි තිබුණු සාධකයන් මොනවද? සංවිධාන මොනවද? ඒ පුද්ගලයන්ගේ සම්බන්ධතා මොනවද? මෙන්න මේ ආකාරයෙන්ුයි මේ කොමිෂන් සභාව අධ්‍යයනය කළ යුතුව තිබුණේ. මේ පාස්කු ඉරිදා සිදුවීම පිටුපස හිටපු පුලස්තිනී සහරා කියන ත්‍රස්තවාදියාගේ බිරිඳ. ඇය ලංකාවෙන් පලා ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා ඉන්දියාවට. කොහොමද ඇයව ඉන්නවනම් ඉන්දියාවෙන් ගෙන්න ගැනීම සඳහා ගත්ත ක්‍රියාමාර්ග මොනවද? එහෙම ඉල්ලීමක් කරලා තියෙනවද? එහෙම ඉල්ලීමක් කිරීම සඳහා නිර්දේශ ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙනවද? මේ කිසිවක් ඉදිරිපත් කළා නැහැ මේ පාස්කු විරුද්ධ කොමිසම සභාව වාර්තාව. මේ ත්‍රස්තවාදීන්ට වැටුප් ගෙවපු කතන්දර තියෙනවා ඉතිහාසයේ. මේව ගැන හොයලා බලලා කිසි දෙයක් ඉදිරිපත් වෙලා නැහැ. ඒ වෙනුවට මේ පාස්කු විරුද්ධ කොමිසම හිටපු ජනාධිපතිවරයාට චෝදනා ඉදිරිපත් කරලා හිටපු ජනාධිපතිවරයාට විරුද්ධව පියවර ගැනීමට අවශ්‍ය වෙන නිර්දේශ ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙනවා. නම් මේක මම සිතාමතා කරන ලද ක්‍රියාමාර්ගයක් විදිහට අපි දකින්නේ මේ අපේ පක්ෂයේ නායකකාරකාදීන්ට පහර දීලා කොන් කරලා අධිකරණ මේ ක්‍රියාමාර්ග වලට කොටු කරලා කිසියම් ප්‍රමාණයකට පක්ෂයේ නායකත්වයේ ව්‍යුහය උදුර ගන්නට ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවද කියන කාරණේත් මට හිතෙනවා යම් ආකාරයක උත්සාහයක් තියෙනවද කියන කාරණේ. මේක කුමන්ත්‍රණයක් අපේ පක්ෂයේ නායකත්වයේ දඩයන් කිරීමට එරෙහිව පක්ෂය විනාශ කිරීමට එරෙහිව කරගෙන යන කුමන්ත්‍රණයට විරුද්ධ වන ලෙස මේ රටේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදය වෙනුවෙන් පෙනී සිටින දේශප්‍රේමී ජාතිකවාදී සියලු බලවේගවලට ආමන්ත්‍රණය කරනවා.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ මෙහෙම අඩපණ කිරීමේ යම්කිසි වැඩපිළිවෙලක් තියෙනවා කියලා
අපිත් සමග මැතිවරණයට පෙර අත්සන් කරපු මූලික එකඟතාවයන් එකක්වත් ඉටු කළේ නැහැ. ඇමති මණ්ඩලයේ නියෝජනයන්, නියෝජ්‍ය ඇමති මණ්ඩලයේ නියෝජනයන්, ජාතික ලැයිස්තුවේ නියෝජනයන්, වෙනත් නිලතලවල නියෝජනයන් කිසිවක් අපට ලබා දුන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක මම හිතන්නේ සිතාමතා කරන ලද දෙයක්.
Meanwhile, opposition leader Sajith Premadas's chosen topic of discussion yet again was the Easter Sunday terror attacks as he addressed people during a program in Hambantota. Premadasa once more pledged to bring to book those who are culpable for these two attacks under a Samagi Janabalawege government. Yesterday, he promised to ensure an international probe into the attacks.
The 45th installment of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa's mobile service was worked off today in the area of Bandagiriya in Hambantota.
රටේ ජනතාව අප වෙත ඇඟිල්ල දික් කරලා කිව්වා මේ ත්‍රස්තවාදී ප්‍රශ්නයට අපි වග කියන්න ඕනේ කියලා. එහෙම කියලා රටේ ජනතාව කිව්වා පොදු ජන පෙරමුණට මේක බාර දුන්නොත් මේ වගකීම බාර දුන්නොත් ඉතාමත්ම ඉක්මනින් මේ ත්‍රස්ත ප්‍රහාරයේ ප්‍රධාන මොලකරුවන් නායකයෝ ටික උපදෙස් දුන්නු කණ්ඩායම ඒ බෝම්බය සෑදීම සඳහා ඒ උපකරණ ලබා දුන්නු කණ්ඩායම ඒ බෝම්බකරුවන් සාත්තු සප්පායම් කරපු කණ්ඩායම ඒ බෝම්බකරුවන් පෝෂණය කරපු කණ්ඩායම මේ හැමෝම අල්ලනවා කිව්වා. දැන් අද මොකද්ද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? එතකොට 69 ලක්ෂයක් ජනාධිපතිවරණයේදී ඡන්දෙ දීලා තවත් 68 ලක්ෂයක් මහමැතිවරණයේදී ඡන්දෙ දීලා බලාපොරොත්තු වුණේ මේකද? දැන් රටේ ජනතාවට විශ්වාසයක් නැහැ. මේ පාස්කු ප්‍රහාර ඒ ක්‍රියාවලිය මේ ආණ්ඩුව හරියට විභාග කරයි කියලා. කිසිම විශ්වාසයක් නැහැ. ඉතින් මම පැහැදිලිවම රටේ ජනතාවට කතෝලික ක්‍රිස්තියානි ප්‍රජාවට කාඩිනල් තුමාට මුළු ලෝකෙට මම පණිවිඩයක් දෙන්න ලෑස්ති. ඒ පණිවිඩය තමයි සමගි ජන බලවේගයේ රජයක් යටතේ නිවැරදි පිරිසිදු පරීක්ෂණයක් අපි පවත්වනවා. කිසිම කෙනෙක් බේරන්න අපි කටයුතු කරන්නේ නැහැ.
We will see you right after this break. Bear with us.
Sunlight Care Naturals ඔබේ ඇඳුම් කෙයා කරයි.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, a 9-year-old girl had died today after she was beaten with a cane during an alleged exorcism. The mother of the deceased child and the shaman at Devala who administered the beating were later arrested.
A 9-year-old girl has reportedly died after she had been beaten with a cane during an alleged exorcism. The mother of the child had taken her to a woman at a Devala in Katuvada, Megahavatta, claiming that her child is possessed by an evil spirit. The woman at the Devala had anointed the 9-year-old with oil and had then proceeded to beat her with a cane in an alleged effort to force the evil spirit to vacate her body. According to the police, the child had lost consciousness during the process and had been admitted to the Biagam hospital. However, she had died upon admission. The deceased child's mother and the woman who administered the beating were arrested over the incident. Further investigations are conducted into the matter.
There are a lot of cultural practices in Sri Lanka like Toil and Dehi Kapima. These practices has been useful for people during last centuries as they are believed by the people as a treatment for psychological problems and other physical problems as well. But these practices have no scientific basis. In these beliefs, it is believed that these psychological problems are due to various types of supernatural powers or sometimes dead people or external forces. But actually what happened is this dissociative and trance state is due to the psychological conflict underlying. So it may be due to a depression or long-term psychological problem going on. So due to these psychological problems, a person may be possessed by external force and acting as that person. So that person may be a dead person. People do various types of toils to treat this psychological condition. But actually, these illnesses need treatment. So if there is a change in behavior or speech or acting weirdly, the people should meet a psychiatrist in a nearby hospital and get treatment. By doing these cultural practices, sometimes they may waste their money, time, and even their valuable lives.
Sri Lanka's ambassador to China, Dr. Palitha Kohana, says that there is a proposal in the pipelines from the China Metallurgical Group Corporation to extract, refine and export mineral sands in Sri Lanka. Through the proposed operation, the ambassador believes that the country will be able to bring in a higher revenue. Meanwhile, with the intervention of Dr. Kohana, the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank has granted approval to a $180 million loan to Sri Lanka under its COVID-19 Emergency and Crisis Response Facility in order to aid SMEs overcome the challenges brought on by the pandemic.
The Asian Investment Bank has made available and approved, in fact, a loan to Sri Lanka to be used by SMEs. The loan will be made available through the Bankers Loan and the People's Bank. This will help SMEs to deal with the challenges posed by the COVID-19 situation. It's a huge challenge, as you know. There are people being thrown out of employment, debts are not being paid, etc. The loan is intended to deal with situations of this nature. And the hope is that SMEs will make use of this loan to get over the challenge period posed by COVID-19 so that it will be able to deal with the future in a way that will not affect their long-term survival.
That the Metallurgical Corporation of China has expressed interest in extracting, refining and exporting the valuable mineral sands available in the northwest part of Sri Lanka. Sri
Lanka has huge mineral sands potential in Lanka coast, in Pulmonay, and also on the northwestern coast. Could supply the global mineral sands needs for a long time. Unfortunately, up to now, we have not exploited this potential to meet our own financial needs. So at the moment, we have an expression of interest by the MCC of China to exploit the mineral sand and also to refine it in Sri Lanka so that we will get a much higher income from our mineral sands deposits in the future. Mineral sands, once refined, could be used for a number of purposes. At the moment, we don't use the sand for any of those purposes. We simply export the sand. MCC is proposing to refine the sand in Sri Lanka, add value, and then export it. The refined product that MCC is proposing to export will be used for those purposes and will result in Sri Lanka earning a higher income in the process.
With the first trading week of the month of March about to begin tomorrow, the stabilization of the all-share price index last Thursday is expected to continue further, spilling over into this week as well. Last Thursday, the SPI gained 104.48 points to close at 7,476.34, while the S&P SL20 index of more liquid stocks ended at 2,966.63, following a 2.33% gain. Now here's Dimantha Matthew with an update on what we can expect at the Colombo Bourse during the week ahead.
So the market seems to have stabilized around the 7,000 to 7,500 mark, and we feel that further stabilization is likely to take place in the upcoming week as well. So we feel that there's likely to be less selling pressure as we've seen in the past few weeks. So with that, there could be a bit of buying interest also emerging, pushing the index into positive territory as well. So we feel that there'll be higher interest coming in, especially into the blue chip counters, specifically in the capital goods sector and the banking sector, with the positive attitude towards the two sectors. Also, with the blue chips not having a huge run in the past 6 months, we feel that there'll be new buying interest coming into these counters, as the counters are likely to do well in terms of earnings in the coming quarters.
We will see you shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is First at 9. Now, the US government authorized Johnson & Johnson's single-dose COVID-19 vaccine yesterday, enabling millions more Americans to be vaccinated in the coming weeks and setting it up for additional approvals around the world. The US Food and Drug Administration announced the emergency use authorization for adults aged 18 and older following yesterday's, or in fact Friday's, unanimous endorsement by the agency's panel of outside experts. In J&J's 44,000-person global trial, the vaccine was found to be 66% effective at preventing moderate to severe COVID-19 4 weeks after inoculation and 100% effective in preventing hospitalization and death due to the virus. The vaccine is expected to be used widely around the globe because it can be shipped and stored at normal refrigerator temperatures, making distribution easier than the Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna vaccines, which are shipped frozen. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.